The dusty streets of San Miguel lay quiet under the scorching sun, but tension simmered beneath the silence. A lone gunslinger, rugged and unshaken, walked into town with a slow, deliberate pace. Clint Eastwood, the man with an unshakable will, surveyed the saloon before stepping inside. Dear listeners, share your views in comments section and subscribe my channel for more interesting stories. As he leaned against the bar, a sneering laughter erupted from the corner. A group of rough-looking outlaws chuckled, their leader smirking as he sized up the new stranger. "You lost, cowboy," one of them sneered, his hand resting near his holster. Clint didn't react immediately. Instead, he exhaled slowly, taking a deep drag from his cigar before uttering in his signature icy tone, "I don't think it's nice. You laughing?" The room fell silent. He tapped his cigar against the wooden counter, his eyes cold and calculating. "You see, my mule don't like people laughing. Gets the crazy idea, you're laughing at him." The outlaws exchanged glances, unsure whether to take him seriously. But Clint wasn't finished. His voice dropped to a deadly whisper. "Now, if you apologize, like I know you're going to, I might convince him you didn't mean it." A moment of hesitation, then, boom! A gunshot rang out. The outlaw who had laughed the loudest fell backward, a bullet straight through his chest. The rest of the gang leaped for their guns, but Clint was faster. 3 more shots, 3 more bodies hit the floor. Silence. Clint holstered his revolver, glancing at the bartender. "Better get 3 coffins ready." He paused, then corrected himself with a smirk. "Make that 4. As the bodies were dragged out, Clint turned towards the townspeople who had been watching in stunned silence. "If you want peace, you got to be ready for war." One of them, a frightened man in a torn vest, stepped forward. "Why'd you do this?" Clint took a long look at him before muttering, "I knew someone like you once. There was no one there to help." He adjusted his hat, his voice barely audible now. "I won't make that mistake again." The message was clear. He wasn't here to play games, but trouble was far from over. As Clint turned to leave, the faint sound of distant horse hooves filled the air. Dust clouds rose from the horizon. The Rojas were coming. Clint sighed, rolling his shoulders as he stepped onto the street. He had barely warmed up. This fight was just getting started. The dust swirled in the hot afternoon air as Clint Eastwood adjusted his hat, his sharp eyes locked on the approaching figures. The Rojos were here. A dozen men on horseback, their weapons gleaming under the sun, moved in like a pack of wolves. The townspeople of San Miguel froze in fear, backing away from the streets, whispering among themselves. No one wanted to be caught in the middle of what was coming. A tall, broad-shouldered man with a scar running down his cheek rode ahead of the group. Ramon Rojo, the leader of the ruthless gang terrorizing the town. His sharp, calculating eyes landed directly on Clint. "I've heard about you," Ramon called out, swinging off his horse. His men surrounded Clint in a loose circle, hands resting dangerously close to their pistols. Clint didn't flinch. He simply let out a slow exhale, removing his cigar from his lips. "Yeah? Then you must have also heard, I don't take kindly to threats." Ramon let out a cold laugh. "Threats? Oh no, amigo. This is a business negotiation." He gestured toward the corpses lying in the dust. "You killed my men. That's bad for business." Clint took a step forward, eyes locked on Ramon. "Your men had it coming." The gang bristled, shifting on their feet. Ramon's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second before returning. "I should kill you where you stand," he said, his fingers grazing the handle of his revolver. Clint tilted his head slightly, a small smirk forming at the edge of his lips. "You could try." A beat of silence. Then, chaos. In the blink of an eye, Clint moved first. His gun flashed and a single shot rang out. Bang! Ramon stumbled backward, a deep gash carved across his gun hand. His pistol clattered to the ground. The gang hesitated for a split second. A mistake. Clint didn't. 1, 2, 3, 3 bullets. 3 bodies fell. The remaining outlaws scrambled, drawing their weapons. Clint dived behind a wooden barrel as bullets whizzed past him, splintering the crates around him. He reloaded swiftly, rolling out from cover. His keen eyes locked onto his next targets. Bang! Bang! 2 more men collapsed into the dirt, their hands still clutching their chests. The remaining rojos panicked. "Fall back!" one of them shouted, dragging a wounded man onto a horse. Ramon, clutching his bleeding hand, glared at Clint with pure hatred. "This isn't over." Clint blew the smoke from his revolver's barrel and smirked. "It never is." The gang fled, galloping into the horizon, leaving behind the dead and the wounded. The town remained silent for a long moment before one man stepped forward. "You saved us. But why?" Clint turned to face the townsfolk, his expression unreadable. "Let's just say I don't like bullies." A young boy, barely 10, walked up hesitantly and extended something towards Clint, a single, shining silver badge. "We need a sheriff," the boy said softly. Clint looked down at the badge, then back at the town. The fight might have been over, but the war for justice had just begun. He took the badge, tucking it into his coat pocket before stepping away. "I'll think about it." The sun dipped lower into the horizon as Clint walked away, his silhouette casting a long shadow over the blood-stained streets of San Miguel. The legend of Clint Eastwood, the man with no fear, had just begun.